Hey everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name's Hannah. Today we're going to be doing my April reading wrap up and picking the books for my May TBR. If I sound awful, it's because I'm battling my allergies and the allergies are winning. This is why I hate spring in the Northeast. But anyway, I'm going to try to make it through this video. Starting off with April. I read a total of 5 books in April. I did have a TBR set. I had 8 books on the TBR. Why I thought I was going to get to all those, I don't know. But I read 4 out of the 8 on the TBR. And I did start 2 other ones from the TBR. I just haven't finished them yet, and they will be finished in May. So 6 out of 8, technically not bad, even though I completed 4. Alright, so the first book I finished in April was The Poisoner by Ivy Ophelia. This book is set in Victorian England. We follow a woman named Alina, and she is the poisoner. So she works with a lot of plants and herbs and stuff, and she helps out battered women, and she gives them poisons to kill the abusive men in their life, whether that's their husbands, family member, etc. And she ends up attracting the attention of this man, Silas, who turns out to be a vampire. I don't remember what exactly they call the vampires in this book, but he ends up hunting her, wants to kill her, and then they end up building this type of relationship, kind of basically an enemies to lovers. And then there's a mystery of someone else that's hunting her, and then the ending was just wild. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was a standalone, but I guess by the ending there's going to be at least a sequel, if not more books. All in all, I give this one 4 stars, and I do recommend it. It is a little dark, so I believe there's trigger warnings in the front, so definitely check those out if you have any triggers. Second book I finished in April is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. I don't know why it took me so long to read this book after all the hype it got. I thought maybe it's just a little overrated. I was wrong. It's fantastic. This book follows Ceres. She's a human living in Silvarin. One thing leads to another, and she ends up in this fey realm of Evelia, and she finds out she's what's called an alchemist, so she can manipulate metals in a certain way. And then she finds out that the fey basically need her to hone her power to control the Quicksilver. So we kind of just dive into what's going on in this land. We uncover some mysteries, and then we have the relationship building between her and King Fisher. And Fisher is like your perfect dark broody MMC. Loved him, loved their dynamic together. I devoured this. I listened to this on audio, which I highly recommend because it's a beautiful duet narration. And this one got 5 stars for me. So the third book I read in April was Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. This is another dark gothic fantasy. This one's set in New Orleans, and we follow Ophelia. Her mother dies in the beginning of this, and they're a family of necromancers. So when her mom dies, her mom's power transfers to her. But also when her mom dies, she and her sister, Ophelia discovers that she was in a lot of debt, and they're at risk of losing their home. Her sister actually secretly knew about this and kept it from Ophelia. So in trying to figure out how to save their house, her sister enters this game called Phantasma, and Ophelia can't bear the thought of her doing this, so she also enters to try to save her. Phantasma is put on by a bunch of demons, and you have to make your way through 9 levels. Each level embodies a different circle of hell. So obviously these aren't fun trials, and Ophelia meets a stranger in Phantasma who claims that he can help her. So we kind of watch her go through these trials, try to find her sister, and this interaction with this stranger. So I did really enjoy this one too. I actually annotated this one a little bit, and I gave this one 4.5 stars. I ended up buying Enchantra because I am excited to read that one. I don't know if it's going to make it onto this month's TBR, but it's probably going to be a read soon for me. And then next up we had Grimstone by Sophie Lark. This one is a dark romance. This takes place in the town of Grimstone. We have our main character, Remy, who just found out that her fiance cheated on her, so she decided to move to Grimstone because she inherited her uncle's mansion. which sounds nice, but this mansion is in shambles. So she moves in with her brother, and they decide that they're going to flip this place and make a profit on it because they're not in the best state financially. Anyway, living nearby is this doctor named Dane Covet. Yeah, Covet. And apparently he owns the road, which is the only road that they can use to get to their mansion. And he had a deal with her uncle where he paid him like something stupid, like 10 grand a year to be able to use this road, which clearly she doesn't have that kind of money. So she works out a deal where she'll do some work around his house to pay for the use of the road. So anyway, they kind of strike up an interesting relationship, to say the least. But there's a rumor going around town that Dane killed his wife and his child. Remy doesn't seem to believe in that, just going off feelings. So there's kind of like that mystery, did he do it? There's some other weird occurrences that are going on around town. Cribstone's kind of an interesting town. And then just a relationship between the two of them. So I did really enjoy this book. Sophie Lark's writing is just addicting. She like hooks you in really quickly and then just keeps things moving. So this was a good quick read. I gave this one 4 stars, and I do recommend it if you like dark romance. And then the 5th book that I finished in April was Torment Part 1 by Dylan Page. This is a duet about a girl named Mina, and just basically her life and a lot of trauma that she deals with. Honestly, this is a dark romance. Romance is very light. It's kind of like a subplot in here. It's a lot of trauma, honestly. So we have a dual timeline going on. Present time, we're seeing the aftermath of Mina and her mom going through an attack that happened on them, and just her trying to process what happened and, in a sense, move on, or just we're seeing everything that's going on after it. And then in the past, we're seeing her as a young girl. Her father died, her mom's single, and she ends up meeting this guy named James. He's a biker, and to Mina, his job is he works at a club. All in all, we know the club is a motorcycle gang, so not up to the greatest things, but she ends up getting sucked into this life. She has a stepbrother named Shay who's like super protective of her. And then, like I said, it's just trauma after trauma that's happening, and her being so young for most of this past timeline, it's like she's not even recognizing what this trauma is as a traumatic thing until you kind of get older and you see these things start to build up and she starts to realize what's going on. There is kind of like a ray of hope and sunshine of another guy that ends up in her life, and you can kind of see an out for her in a way. But I feel like part 2 is going to be where we have a lot of bad things happening, and I don't know how this is going to end well, and I know a lot of people, this book is really upset, so we'll see how this goes. I gave part 1 3.5 stars. I did really like it. It was kind of slow at times. If you don't like long chapters, you will hate this book. I was reading this on my Kindle, and it gives you like how much time to the end of the chapter, and most of the chapters I started are like an hour plus long. Granted, I'm not the fastest reader, but oh my god, super long chapters. In the chapters, you kind of break between present and past, so that's kind of a little bit of break mid-chapter, so it's an easy stopping point, but it was a bit for me, honestly, and I think that's why it took me so long to get through this book, but I did like it. So, moving on to our picks for May, pick number 1 is definitely going to be Torment Part 2, so I can finish out that duet. There are apparently more books in that series. I thought it was just a duet, but I guess it's a series of like 4 or 5 books. I'm not sure if it's finished or not, so we'll see after part 2 if I'm going to continue with that or not. And then I also have The Teacher by Frida McFadden that my coworker loaned me because she knows I love Frida, and I haven't read this one yet, and she is dying to know what I think of this one. So there's 2 books for the month of May. I'm also listening to Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. I read this last year. I have the physical copy. I love this book. I gave it 5 stars. So I'm just doing a reread in the form of audio because Caught Up, the 2nd book, comes out next month, which I'm so excited for. So just kind of as a refresh, listening to that. I've just started like a day or so ago. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. The duet narration is perfection. So if you hadn't read it, or if you've read the physical and not listened to the audio, I highly recommend getting the audio and giving that a shot. But I'm gonna do 3 prompts from my TBR jar. I'll pull 3 more reads, and then hopefully that'll pretty much be my reading list for the month of May. So let's get into it. First prompt, I already pulled them, so we'll just go through them together. So our first prompt is, oh Jesus, a book that's at least 500 pages. So I was kind of debating. I was like, maybe I should pull 4 prompts this month, and I pulled that one, so I'm like, that's not happening. So let me pull up the potentials for this month for a book that's over 500 pages. Okay, so I have 3 potentials for this prompt. Technically 4, because The Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, I know for a fact is over 500 pages, but I'm not ready for that. That I need to be in a mindset for. So that's not even going to be a contender. But we have Green Light by Jessie Hall. This one is 618 pages, so she's a hefty one. This one's a dark romance. I don't really know much other than that it's a dark romance. Some of these I just like to go in blind. So there's that one. We have House of Beating Wings by Olivia Wildstein. This one's a fantasy about Fallon Rossi, who has been marked by her half-humanity. Nearly every pure-blooded fairy at court has looked down on her for curved ears, lack of magic, and fondness for water serpents, but never Dante Reggio, the Prince of Luce. Flirtatious Royal has held Fallon's heart ever since Dante gave Fallon her first kiss. But as doubts creep in of how a fey prince and a halfling could ever have lasting happiness together, Fallon finds hope in an oracle's prophecy. She will be queen, but first she must free the crows. Confused yet determined, Fallon embarks on the hunt that could give her everything she's wanted but couldn't have: power, respect, perhaps even acceptance, and most desirably her prince. But unknown to Fallon, her quest will unleash more than just her destiny, and when the ancient demon awakes, he plans to have Fallon all to himself. So that one sounds interesting. Definitely another fantasy. This is book 1, so we'd be starting a new fantasy series. I already have book 2, so it's an ongoing series. I'm not sure how many books are planned to be in this one. So there's that as a contender. And then we also have Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Moss. My best friend read this book and she told me I really do need to read this, and then I found this beautiful edition at Target a couple weeks ago. I think I posted a short about it. But anyway, this is like Greek mythology inspired. So the little blurb says, I'm struggling to survive in a Titan infested world where Spartans, or immortals from 12 royal families who have godlike powers and obscene wealth, rule over all. A shy, stammering foster child with nothing, I keep my head down, cover my scars, and focus on excelling in school. At least I try to. Then it happens. My blood test reveals I'm part of the powerful elite. I'm one of them, a Spartan. Forced to attend the Spartan War Academy, I undergo the most harrowing test of all time to see if I have what it takes to be an immortal. There's just a few problems. Achilles and Patro are my scary mentors. Charon, the ferryman of death, and Augustus, the son of war, are my terrifying professors. Also, I'm pretty sure either someone's stalking me everywhere I go or my sanity's slipping. I have a bad feeling both are true. I'm surrounded by villains, and they're smothering me with their hate, obsession, and dark possessiveness. Too bad for them. They have no clue just who they're messing with. So this one's like just over 500 pages. It's 504 pages. And I'm really leaning towards this one because I love anything Greek mythology based. Also, my best friend was like, hey, you really need to read this. So I think this is going to be our winner for that prompt. So Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Moss. And then the second prompt, that's the one I just, the second prompt I pulled is, sorry, my cat's being a spaz, is a book with flowers on the cover. So let me pull a couple contenders for this. She's going nuts. I'm sorry. Hang on, let me get the options. So we had a lot of options for this prompt. So I narrowed it down by only choosing books that are in a series that I have currently started, because a lot of the picks I could have pulled would have been starting new series. So like I said, I'm trying to be better about either finishing or catching up on series before I start new ones. I'm not perfect, but we're trying. So our first option is Enchantress by Kaylee Smith. So this is a sequel to Phantasma, which I just read. This one's following her sister Genevieve in Italy. And otherwise I don't know much about this. When Genevieve Grimm's mother dies, she's left with questions no one can answer until she receives an invitation to Enchantra, a cursed palace in Italy frozen in time. Though denied entrance by the sinfully handsome yet hostile Rowan Silver, Genevieve finds her own way in and soon realizes her mistake. For Enchantra is a twisted labyrinth where Rowan and his 6 siblings are trapped in a deadly game at the mercy of a twisted devil and his ghastly spectators. Only one occupant of the house can survive. Genevieve now must win or die. Rowan warns her he's the deadliest of the Silvers, that he always wins, that her only chance to compete as his wife, her only chance is to compete as his wife, so they must convince their audience they're desperately in love. And while Genevieve's willing to do whatever it takes to survive, she also knows she can't trust Rowan, that the desire burning between them is a lie. After all, it was Rowan who taught her Enchantra's first rule: never ever trust your heart. So, sounds fantastic. Forced marriage. I loved the writing in the first one too, so I'm sure that's going to be great. So this is a strong contender. But we also have Kingdom of the Cursed by Carrie Maniscalco. So this is the second book in the Kingdom of the Wicked series. I think it's a trilogy. I read Kingdom of the Wicked, I think sometime last year, and I did enjoy it. You're following this witch. There's actually 2 twins, and they're both witches. And one of them is murdered. And so her sister is trying to solve her murder, figure out what's going on, and ends up in a deal with the Prince of Wrath. So this is a continuation of the series. I'm not going to read the back in case there's any spoilers for the first book. But yeah, I started that one a while ago, and I feel like I really should continue this one. And I'm pretty sure I pulled this on a TBR as well and then didn't get to it. So I really feel like since I've already pulled this before and I've kind of put it off, I really should pick this one. And then our third option is Monarch, which is also a sequel to a book I just read last month, Grimstone. I have a feeling this one's following Dane's brother, but I'm not quite sure. So I really did enjoy Grimstone, but I don't know if I'm quite ready to dive into this one yet. So I do think I'm going to be good, even though I really want to pick Enchantra, and I'm going to pick Kingdom of the Curse so we can get this trilogy done, and then I can go ahead and start her other books, because I already have Throne of the Fallen and Throne of Secrets, and you can't read those if you want to read this, because I've heard there are spoilers in terms of this trilogy if you read those. So we're going to get to this book. It's going to get read. And then for our third prompt, I pulled a book with an animal on the cover / in the title. So let me go through my cart and see what we have for picks for that. All right, so I came up with 3 potentials for this prompt. I guess it kind of depends on your definition of an animal. I tend to apparently have a lot of books with bugs on the cover, but I'm not really counting those as an animal. So our options are God Killer by Hannah Craner. It's got a deer on the cover. This one I picked up a while ago and I haven't read it yet. It says, gods are forbidden in the kingdom of Midrin, formed by human desires and fed by their worship. There are countless gods in the world, but after a great war, the new king outlawed them and now pays god killers to destroy any who try to rise from the shadows. As a child, Kissin saw her family murdered by a fire god. Now she makes a living killing them and enjoys it. But all this changes when Kissin is tasked with helping a young noble girl with a problem. The child's soul is bonded to a tiny god of white lies, and Kissin can't kill it without ending the girl's life too. Joined by a disillusioned knight on a secret quest, the unlikely group must travel to the ruined city of Lenraden, where the last of the wild gods reside, to each beg a favor. Pursued by assassins and demons, and in the midst of burgeoning civil war, oh my god, they will all face a reckoning. Something is rotting at the heart of the world, and they are the only ones who can stop it. So this again, starting a new series if we do this. I think there's at least 3 books out. There might be more, not entirely sure. I've been good and I haven't bought any of the sequels since I haven't read the first one. And then we have Foxy Tales by the Twist Sisters, Carolyn Peckham and Susan Valenti. So this kind of ticks off both. There's a fox on the picture and a fox is in the title. So that kind of gets both parts of the prompt. This is basically just a bunch of bonus content for the Zodiac Academy series. I love Zodiac Academy. It's one of my like god tier series. If you haven't read it, you absolutely should. And my best friend got this for me for my birthday a couple months ago, so this is a pretty good contender because I'm pretty sure this is the final book that I have yet to read in that entire series. So we got pretty strong contender there. And then again, I guess going off of what you define as an animal, we got Aragon because there's a dragon in the title. Dragon's technically an animal. It's a mythical animal because it doesn't exist in real life, unfortunately, but it is an animal. And if you saw my TBR cart tour, this is the book that has probably been on my TBR the longest, just because I haven't had the urge to read this series. But I think out of these three, I am gonna go ahead and choose Foxy Tales, just so, again, I can complete a series officially. So this will be our other pick for the month of May, and Aragon is unfortunately gonna get shelved again, although this is the actual first time I've had it as a contender for a TBR pick, thanks to the prompts. So our May TBR is looking a lot like this. We have The Teacher by Frida McFadden, Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Moss, Kingdom of the Cursed by Carrie Maniscalco, and then Foxy Tales by the Twisted Sisters. We also have Torment Part 2 by Dylan Page and Lights Out by Navessa Allen. So that's going to be it for this month's picks. I plan on kind of redoing my TBR jar, like going through the prompts, getting some old ones back in there and getting some new ones in. Someone had commented on one of my previous videos of some prompt recommendations, so if you guys have any recommendations, I'd love to hear it, so I have some more options for my jar. And that's pretty much going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.